in this video, we're going to be talking about stopping short and not getting the no, okay? We're going to be talking about a really important concept, which is this idea that a lot of times in life, when we're shooting for our success, we're shooting for a goal, we stop just a little bit short of the finish line and we actually don't get success because we pre-reject ourselves. We stop ourselves before we're going to get turned down or we're going to get that no instead of actually getting the no. I'm John from BulldogMindset.com. On this channel, I teach you how to be a man today, and I teach you things that you need to know as a man, such as how to build financial independence if you want to become financially secure, how to build the physique that you want, and how to get the girls that you want. If you want all of those things, click that subscribe button and become a Bulldog, and click that little bell to get notifications, because a lot of my videos, that the ones you're going to want to see, the ones that YouTube doesn't want you to see, they're going to show up only with a notification. What's happening? All right, this is the psychological phenomenon that we're seeing and that we need to conquer, is that we anticipate a no, or we anticipate the chance of rejection, okay, or the uncomfortable feeling that we would experience when we push the envelope too far, when someone has to say whoa, 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 or someone has to tell us no, or someone has to set a boundary. And so what we do is we back up too soon. Now this definitely is a problem in dealing with people, in communication and social skills, but it's also just a problem in our own goals. And sometimes when I'm training hard, sometimes, I'll back off a little bit on that last bit of the run when I should be giving it my all. And the reason why is because I don't want to reach failure. I've done some videos about this before, talking about that not wanting to reach that failure point and pushing it to the point where you're either going to succeed or you're going to actually fail, right? So many times, I don't know if you've ever been in a workout where you've actually completely failed. Now, I'm not talking about lifting weights where you can't do another rep. I'm talking about running or any kind of aerobic or any kind of exercise where it really is mental and you haven't actually put your body to the actual point of failure where it would stop, where you couldn't do it, where you couldn't take another step, where you couldn't run, where you had to actually slow down. And so if you've never done that, probably the reason why you haven't is because you stopped short, because you anticipated that the end was coming. You anticipated a no, you anticipated a failure. And before having that actually happen and having to experience the little bit of ego death, the ego bash that comes with that failure, you stopped yourself short. This also definitely applies to interactions with people, right? How many times are you purposefully polite? Okay, because you don't want to push the limits. You don't want to push someone's boundaries, even though you could, right? And I'm not saying that you should be a dick. I'm not saying you should be an ass and just totally fuck with people and push their boundaries all the time. But sometimes you should. Sometimes you should. And the reason why is because you don't get what you don't ask for, all right? And when you're in a situation, right? Let's say a negotiation situation with a person or some kind of interaction, and people are giving you the yes. You don't know how far you could take that, right? Especially in something like a negotiation. You should always be seeking to get to the point where they say no. It's also going to tell you a lot about a person, right? Some people will let you walk all over them. And while that might seem like the kind of person that you do want to hang around with because they're just going to let you do whatever you want, it's actually a very dangerous kind of toxic person to be around, because when someone does not set clear boundaries and you're violating their unclear boundaries, what ends up happening is they let you do that and they hold in their heart resentment towards you, and they will actually come back and they will take you down when they get the chance. Sometimes, in fact, I have actually been in situations, right? And I do this sometimes. I don't know if I should give you guys a secret, but I don't know. If you do personal coaching with me, like in person, I don't want to scare you, but a lot of times, what I will do is I will just push you, like literally, physically push you. And then push you again, and then push you again, and see what happens. Because I want to see what you're going to do, right? I want to see if I push you, what's your response? Is it going to be that you're going to push me back? Is it going to be that you're going to pretend like it didn't happen, which is what a lot of people do, right? And then what happens when you pretend like it doesn't happen and I push you again? Now what are you going to do? Are you going to still pretend like it didn't happen? Are you going to say sorry? Are you going to apologize to me? Are you going to try and figure out what's wrong, right? Are you going to react and put down a clear boundary? I want to see how far that I can literally push you before you set a boundary. Everyone will eventually set a boundary, but there's some people that I've pushed 5, 10 times, okay, and pushed them back, almost pushed them on their fucking ass, and they did not object one bit until like I said 5 or 10 times, and then they like moved out of the way, or they said, hey, stop it. You should be figuratively, not literally pushing people, but you should be pushing back. You should see what you can do, what can you get away with, right? What point will someone stop you? Okay, and like I said, it tells you something about that person. When I know how you set your boundaries or you don't set your boundaries, I can see all the other areas of your life where that's affecting you, okay? But in addition to that, when you're able to do this, okay, when you're able to walk out of the comfort zone and actually do the pushing, and I'm talking figuratively, pushing people and trying to get your way, what it's gonna do is it's going to make you stronger as a person, okay, because it takes some courage to overcome that. And it's going to tell you where your actual boundaries and stopping points are. We often stop too short, right? And that's, again, this is one of those things that I found myself doing. Even though I'm capable of doing, like I said, the push test, in a lot of interactions in my life, I've found myself stopping short, like assuming that someone is going to say no, assuming that someone is going to react negatively, assuming that I'm going to hit a failure, assuming that something that I'm doing is going to stop working at some point. It's sort of like the whole thing of, I don't know if you've ever been at a casino and played poker or whatever, and someone sits down and they just sit down at the table and they have a good hand and they bet an all in, and they maybe like double up their money, right? So they got like $100 of chips in front of them, and then now they've got 200 or whatever it is, and they basically like get up and leave like after like 10 minutes of playing poker. The problem with that, right? That's how a lot of us are living our lives, right? In a lot of respects, right? The problem with that is that person, you might say, well, they're smart. Okay, they took their chips off the table. Okay, they knew how to leave as a winner. Okay, and that's the psychology that we tell ourselves when we do this. But the big problem with that is when that person came down to the table to play poker, did they come there to play poker? Right. And so did they plan on playing for 10 minutes? Is that really playing poker? Is it really fun? Right? Was it all about just trying to make their money? They didn't even expect to win initially. But when they won, they decided that they wanted to take their chips off the table. Why? Right? And this is the psychology behind it. This is what I want you to understand. Why are you taking your chips off the table? It's because you don't want to lose. But again, this is the game of life. This is how life is supposed to be played. You're here to play the fucking game, okay? And like I said, I'm not immune to this. I would do this many times. I've done this at the poker table myself, okay? Where you're not playing to win, you're playing not to lose. That's really what this concept comes down to. Sometimes when you play the game and you sit down at the table and you keep on playing after you've won, you lose all your chips, okay? But sometimes you have a ridiculous good streak and you win a lot more. And if you consistently choose to continue to play, okay, and I'm not saying to play stupid, but if you continue to play, if you push things, if you see how far you can take things in life, and you don't stop short just because you anticipate a possible failure, or you're afraid of having a loss when you've had a win, or you don't want to break your good streak, you're going to find that those times when you get those extraordinary wins are going to outbalance the times when you take those inevitable losses. And when you do take those losses, you'll feel good about it because you actually played the game and you actually learned something from that, and you can recover from those places. Whereas once you've pulled yourself out of the game, right, you're done. Okay, but if someone else sets you back, if someone else tells you no, if someone else tells you need to step back, right, essentially, right, in some kind of a negotiation, in some kind of a social situation, in some kind of a, even in your own psychology, just battling with yourself, okay, if the wall of your lactate threshold builds up and you have to slow down your pace, it's a learning experience and you're going to benefit from that. Let me know, what do you think about this? What do you think about this topic? I'd rather have victories than ego. Would you rather have your ego be inflated, or would you rather have victories? And sometimes if you pull the chips off the table, your ego's going to be more intact, but you're going to miss out on a lot of victories. All right, guys, that's all. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.